Okay, we're back. Turn that on. Okay, we're back. I had to do a little bit of grading work on that crossing, which I did this morning. So let's finish this home place up. I hope that the GoPro is online. Yes, it is. Here we go. Come up. Alright, just curious which one. Okay, I got the marker I want. Engage the hydraulic, the vac fan. Vacuum fan is on. And graphite everywhere. Up that to 22. That 15 back. Happy. Come on, figure yourself out. 14 vacuum. That'll work. Good morning, welcome in to anybody who is watching the stream. Current time is 10:53 a.m. At least for me it is. I'm not sure. Depends on your time zone as well. This is Central Standard Time, or no? I think we're Central Daylight Time now. Whatever. American Central Time. So, welcome in. Please like and subscribe. I have the alert box set up for the subscribers, and hopefully it'll make me jump out of my seat when I hear noises. Okay. I gotta basically go back to where I was. So I make sure I have good seed count. Because as you know, it takes a minute for the seeds to adhere to the plate with the vacuum. That's one downside of vacuum plates, is that it takes a second for them to populate. And that's just how it is. Drop, drop. Just a little bit. Check me. I don't have guidance. I'm just going around this. I'm just productivity. Now settings. Yeah, I'll bring the fence like that. You have the measurements, right? Yes, it does. I'll have some of these loads back, so hopefully they're not too destructive to the planter. this here opened up. This probably won't be all but an hour or two. I believe this here is a 7.5 acre patch. I don't know if I'll be able to stream out on the next farm because of its location. Right here, I'm pretty close to a cell tower, so I'm able to get away with a little more with the cellular connection. Not on that other farm, it can get very spotty with connection, and I just don't think it'll stream very good. I honestly don't know how good the streaming is. Oh, Mr. Dan Michael, good morning to you too. Ah, yes. Thank you for the subscription. I presume that's you, Mr. Michael. I can't exactly see that. Thank you very much for the subscription. I believe that is you. Got the turn signal. Oh, I know which one limb I gotta come back and chop up. Luckily, that's got the breakaway on that, so. Oh well, I'll have to get out and fix that before I go to the next field. Because if I get out and fix it now, all it's gonna do is just fold right back in. Note to fix that come later. I'll have to trim that tree back a little bit. Hopefully the sprinter guy gets here sooner than later to take care of some of this pigweed, poison oak that's growing into the field. line is taller than this tractor, so I'll end up hitting a couple more sticks this fall than I will now. I do notice that after I get done this field, I should probably go out to the next field and go through with the pole saw real fast to make sure I get the limbs out of the way that I need to get out of the way. That shouldn't take too long because there's not that many trees out there. Like here, where this entire field is surrounded by tree line. Put that on. Marker in. Okay, that's round one done. Make sure you're backing this up. This doesn't back too bad. Other way. Nice thing about this Kinsey planner is that I can see it's easier to track your mark because you want too close. You want that center row unit right in your mark. It's a lot easier to see on this compared to say like a John Deere or a Case or the tool where the pushers are all in the what do you call them? The inner plants. I can't even drive, as you can see. The inner plants are back up. Back up while I was in the soil. I'm probably going to pay for that one. But you can see that center row unit right there in between the drawbar. That is where you want that pretty much right in the middle of your mark. And now we're about to find out how bad I screwed it up by not waiting a second. Should have started whining by now. I got here shortly, but as I was saying, you want that center right in your that row unit, right in that mark to get your precise 15 inches. Now beans really don't care, because I mean you can have a bean down to 7.5 inches if you're running a drill. I mean some drills are 10 inch, but regardless, we find a 15-inch row gets us the better yield compared to a drill. And drills just aren't as precise on spacing compared to a planter. But anyways, get over your because the drill kind of just picks up seed and throws it down. It doesn't exactly it's not it just picks up a certain amount of weight, well, a certain amount of seed per cup. It doesn't exactly meter it like on a plate. It just kind of picks up a bunch, and what goes down goes down. So now obviously that can be changed by how much the orifice is open plus gear ratios, where your gear ratio affects your population on a planter, because you have a set amount of cells. These are 60 cell, which means it can hold up to 60 seeds at once. 60 cell plates. Since this is a 15-inch Kinsey, now if this were a 30-inch, it'd have 120 cell plates, because you're doing 30. That means because you want the same plant population narrow, no matter what your spacing is. So like if I were to do a 30-inch row, you're putting your seeds wider, but you're bringing them close together, where with 15-inch rows, you're bringing the plant closer, but spacing them further apart in the row. If I can drive, we get a more precise plant population per acre. Yes, I could use auto steer if I had it. I don't have auto steer in this tractor, even though it is only a year old. We've never really had the need or the means to fool around with auto steer. I mean, we've raised a good crop without auto steer. I've raised 69.7 bushel beans without auto steer. And as I mentioned yesterday in my last live stream, we have two planting tractors, so you'd have two subscriptions. I mean, I think some subscriptions are free, depending on what you get. But I mean, it'd probably be more. I mean, corn's a bit more of a picky puppy when it comes to row spacing. So at the end of the day, does it really matter on soybeans where you plant them? If you plant them a little narrow, they really don't care, compared to the likes of, say, a corn, where you have to go to pick the row as you plant it. Soybeans you can just shave off, like wheat or any other crop. I think the only other crop that you have to pick how you plant is sunflowers, just because of the way the heads are designed. Could be wrong. I mean, there are some. I have seen some planters. I mean, some heads, like John Deere used to have the row crop head for soybeans, but that kind of fell out of favor. The idea was that you wouldn't get, the reel would not knock your would not smack the, when you had the road bean head, you would, instead of having a reel to bring the bean in, which when they smack, sometimes the reel will knock the seeds out of the pod before it, and you have seed on the ground, which is less than your bin, which means you make less. So the thought is that if you picked it down the row and cut it off, you would, without having a reel there, it was I think there is still a couple of heads like that run around here, but I think they're set on 30-inch beans, 30-inch rows. I mean, I think I've seen one or two 15-inch heads, but irregardless, we just have a table when it comes to picking our beans, which it's always worked for us. It's just the one thing, you just have to watch your reel speed. But in theory, optimal reel speed is 5 times your the reel should be spinning 5 times faster than what you're picking at. So if you're picking at just say 3 miles an hour, your reel speed should be about 15. But sometimes that can just get too aggressive. The reel can just get too aggressive and start knocking pods out. So sometimes you just have to slow down when you're picking with a table, which is not always ideal because you want to get the harvest out before weather turns on you. But there's not exactly a very good way to run. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of running I've heard of the concept. I think I actually seen a video on YouTube of the concept of the row bean heads. My dad always called them a rubber band bean head because supposedly it was rubber bands that would smack against the stalk, the bean stalk, and that's how it would pick. But I honestly don't know. I think I've only seen them once, the row bean head for a combine. I believe John Deere made them for like a couple years, but they just were not very popular. So and people just pick them with a grain table, which most crops you can. About the only 2 crops I know of that you can't pick with a bean head. I mean, not bean head. For me, it's a bean head, but a table is your. You can't pick corn or sunflowers, which is my biggest gripe against corn. But then again, corn's what makes us the money, so that's why we plant it. You got to pick what the money raises, or what brings money. Or so I've been told. Along with the fact that we don't have the equipment for wheat. Granted, I have seen you could, if I really wanted to, I could make this. You can get wheat plates for this Kinsey, and you can plant 15-inch wheat. But from what I've heard, that's a little too wide for wheat. Wheat prefers narrower rows, like 10 or 7.5s. So if you really wanted to, without having to sink money into a drill, you could just run 15-inch wheat. Seeing this one guy on Facebook, he's trying to raise 30-inch wheat. I'd like to hear what that yields compared to 15, 7.5, or 10-inch rows. Because as it is a grass prefers to be a very close plant. Though corn is technically a warm season grass genetically, corn in itself prefers to be further apart than other plants, as in 30-inch rows. I think I seen one guy was doing 15-inch corn, which is way too dang close. And I don't even know a corn head that's made in 15-inch rows, unless you either customize it or custom build it. I know a couple guys around my location that do 20-inch corn, but even then, I personally think that's too close because you get all that humidity stuck in a row, and you're just creating more disease, and it takes longer for it to dry down. I mean, if you're doing, the guys who do 20-inch rows tend to pick it as high moisture to haul to the ethanol plants, or they dry it down themselves, which you're spending a lot of money to do something that can be done naturally if you just widen your rows, plant them close together with the same seed population. But that's my opinion, and I mean, they're going to do what they want to do. They have their own operation. I have mine. That's just my thoughts. This is lap number 3. If anybody's got any questions for me, just put them in the chat. I am keeping an eye on that. I will answer you. It might take me a minute to realize that there is a chat. Or like, subscribe. The alert box is up and running. It was tested earlier by Mr. Dan Michael. It does work. So, if you're new here, please like and subscribe. I'm hoping to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of next month. I think we're at 566 now. I'm not looking right at the number. Thank you. Markers around. It's a little wide there. Oh, hello, tree. This year I'm trying something new. Usually last year we were planting 180,000 seeds of soybeans per acre. I'm sorry, 182 I think. But anyways, I was doing a little research, and according to University of Nebraska-Lincoln, you actually want between 100 and 105,000 plants per acre at harvest. And you're supposed to take your sample sheet that you get from your from the bag on the tag or we get our bean seed in bulk, so I get a piece of copy paper with all the information on it, and supposedly the correct number of seeds to plant per acre is I think it was like 132,000 seeds is what is the number I seen to get your 100, just say 102,000 and a half seeds per acre, plants per acre at harvest. My grandfather's old school, and he still believes in the rule of thumb of a bag and a quarter seeds per acre when you're running 15-inch rows on a planter. So I was able to convince him to come back down to at least 150, so we kind of met right there in the middle between 180 and 125,000, because 125,000 seeds would get you close to 100,000 plants at harvest. But I'm hoping I'm not shooting myself in the foot, lowering my seed rate down from a bag and a quarter to a bag and a tenth, bag and a tenth per acre, 1.1 bags an acre compared to 1 and a quarter. In theory, it'll save us a bit of money on seed, but the question is, are you going to get the same, if not a better yield with going down in seed population? Save money up front, but is it also going to cost you money at harvest? But then again, this soil has been no-tilled. All our soils have been no-tilled since 1991, I want to say? 95? I can't remember what Grandpa told me when Grandpa told me they started doing no-till, but it was early to mid-90s, so just say 30-35 years of no-till to try and rebuild the topsoil of these farms, because they used to always disc there before they planted. And I mean, even if you run a drill, you kind of have to run it, because the rows are so narrow with all this corn stubble, you have to disc it in. But since we've gotten away from drilling our beans, and now we just do 15-inch beans with the no-till coulters on each row unit, it saves us time from fooling around with a disc, tandem disc, if you want to get technical, because there are single gang discs, though older, they do exist, and not have to fool around with a vertical tillage machine. I know some folks, there's a couple folks around here who use vertical tillage. I am personally not a fan of moving soil, though vertical tillage you're not really moving it, you're just running more like an aerator through it. But I would almost argue by running coulters on your row units. Where the heck is that? There it is. By running the coulters on your row units, you are doing vertical tillage and planting in one step. And I've got the horsepower to do that, do everything in a one-stop shop. You're not, because erosion, though this farm is relatively flat, it does have a creek that runs through it, so it's always a fight to try and keep erosion down, irregardless of what do you call it? Oh, so that's my track of thought. I'm just rambling here. But irregardless, I personally, this setup has been very good to us. At least it was last year, and well, the Greenwood and Ashland Farm are not the best of soils. They need a little more work done to them, and that is kind of where we're. And since the corn's on to this year, Grandpa decided, since where the corn makes us more money than the beans. I mean, beans do make us a couple dollars, but beans are honestly a bit more of a cover crop just to help keep soil health and crop health better. And anyways, since the corn's on the Greenwood and Ashland farm, he decided to sink a little more money into that to help try and get a better corn yield. So, and usually, if you can get a better corn yield, that also reflects into a better soybean yield come next year. So, we shall see. And we had a very good soybean yield last year off there, so hopefully that'll also reflect in a better corn yield come this year. And when you get a better soybean yield, in theory, you're giving yourself more. The rule of thumb is for every bushel of soybeans you claim from the farm, it is equal to 1 pound of nitrogen in the soil. So in theory, last year we built 60 pounds into the ground, or 59 pounds, whatever. But you put more. So in theory, we don't have to put down as much. Well, it's not urea or nitrogen back into the ground to get a better yield, which means you save a bit of money on. Means you save money by not having to put stuff in the ground. Plus, you're helping build the soil health because you're not putting artificial stuff in the ground. Since that ground is near a NRD, I forget what they call them, but basically the NRD is constantly monitoring the water quality coming from there. That they are asking us to do us farmers to do what we can to help reduce emissions of nitrates and phosphates into Salt Creek. So, in theory, by us getting a better soybeans are kind of like a cover crop. So, when it comes to the nitrogen part, I mean, these suckers eat phosphorus, potassium to high heck, but their main concern has been more the nitrates in the water that also affect the fish and other wildlife. So in theory, and by pulling core samples, they can also we're basically doing their legwork, so they can kind of pull a sample see where all their emissions are coming from, and that we're not just throwing out willy-nilly nutrients that our soil will not absorb and just rolls off into the creek. But I don't want that gear. this farm here, even though it has no creek running through it, is not in a NRD worry district. And considering we have grasses and trees around this, they help absorb quite a bit of the excess nutrients that we put down. And our soybeans, we don't really broadcast any. I mean, we don't put down any nitrogen because the soybeans make their own. I mean, whatever's in the I mean, we come in and foliar feed them with phosphorus, potassium, and micronutrients, and there is nitrogen in that, but that is all foliar. We foliar feed our soybeans nutrients, and what we prefer to put down 60% of on the corn ground, 60% of what we need to put down as dry, and then when they come in to do the burn down spray, the next 40% of the NPK, and we'll also throw down the sulfur in the dry, but all the other and then when they do the post-emergent spray, we also we throw the same stuff we put on the soybeans, NPK, plus trace elements. And so far we've gotten better yields. And the nice thing about foliar feeding is that it goes right into the plant. Now, obviously, you have to time your foliar feeding better, because if you do it when it's dry out, the pores are going to constrict. I think that's how. But it goes in through the leaf, and the time of day and the weather outside affects the way the plant breathes. So you have to be a little more precise on when you do your post-emergence compared to the pre-emergence, where you're putting when you're putting the nutrients on the ground comparatively to foliar. But foliar, it goes right into the plant, so you don't have to worry about runoff into waterways or it volatilizing into the atmosphere. From what I've heard, a lot of guys prefer to do that as well. There are some people who do. We used to do some dry soybean, dry PK at the pre-season, but it never really comparatively to just putting it on in foliar form. You save money because you're not having to run it through there 3 times. You just put down your pre-emergence, and then you mix in the foliar feed with the post. So you save a trip, and with application being about almost $10 an acre now, you save quite a bit of money comparatively. You're still getting the phosphorus, potassium that your soil needs. Well, not so much the soil needs, but the plant. And what the plant doesn't use will get broken down, and it will stay in the plant. Then when the plant dies and starts to break down, it can be broken. It'll break down over the winter and release the fertilizer into the ground for the next year's crop to consume, for lack of a better term. But anyway, irregardless, thanks for being with me on this glorious Sunday morning. It is currently 11:37 now. For For those who are in, welcome, hello. If you're new here, subscribe, it's free, and it pleases me. Like, and hit that like button as well. I mean, it gives me that release of serotonin. And if your subscriptions are public, you will be able to, you will get a little card for when you subscribe, and you get noise as well, which alerts me when I'm not fooling around with everything else. Just sitting here watching me plant makes me happy. Makes me feel valued. It helps my psychological side. I get to ramble on about agronomy, and you guys maybe get to learn a little bit as well about agronomy. And if you got any agronomy questions that you want me to answer, post them in the chat. I am keeping an eye on it when I'm not busy fighting everything else around here. Much more to do here. And now we're starting to get into the narrow parts of the field. We've been going for almost 50 minutes now. This field doesn't take that long. It's 7.5 acres. I know yesterday, I think it took me about almost an hour and a half to do the other side, but you also have to do a lot more fooling around over there since you're doing 2 patches on the east side of the tracks. If you want to go watch some more live planting, you can watch yesterday's stream. I'm not entirely sure about the quality of these streams. I'm trying my hardest, but my phone can only process so much data. I haven't been, according to Streamlabs, I have not dropped any streams yet. I haven't at least gotten a warning now. If the frame rate is good, I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not exact. I gotta try to keep my data usage to a minimum so I can keep outputting at a very generous quality. That's the word. Sorry. Those markers have any dang weight on them, or is it just the fact the stock is just so stubborn? It's a little hard to see the mark. I know it's down, it's making it. It's just that's kind of the contradiction I've been having the last couple of years is with the corn. We've had a lot of problems with the stalks being too brittle at harvest, and the corn goes down, and then it's nothing but havoc to pick them up. So the geneticists have been making the stalks stronger, and now it's coming to bite us in the butt that they don't break down worth a dang, which is why I think lots of people are doing vertical tillage to try and knife up the crops so they can break down. That's the reason why I have these stalks so low, is to try and shred them up with the corn head. I don't have a chopping corn head. That is something to look at for us in the future. Hope. Just gonna keep rolling through here. Get as many beans as I can run into today. And you wouldn't think going from 15 to 20 feet would make such a radical difference. Maybe it's more psychological. I feel like a heck of a lot more done planting at 20 foot compared to 15. Even though you only plant 5 more feet, I think you raise an extra 2 acres an hour if you're running about 5 miles an hour. So usually I would do about 6.5 acres an hour, and I think I'm pushing 7.5, almost 8, running 20 foot. Could be wrong. Like I said, might be. Maybe I'm not getting that many more acres done, but over the course of a 10-hour day, I think you gain an extra 20 acres completed, which is about a quarter of a field done. And the sooner you can get your crop ran in, that gives it more days. The more days beans get before the summer solstice, the higher chance that they will. They tend to grow rather taller the more Sunday, not weak Sundays, but the days of sun, compared to you get, I think for every week you plant prior to the summer solstice, you can gain potentially a half bushel an acre. Though that does not sound like much, over the course of several acres, that's a lot of bushels. And how many bushels an acre you make depends on your paycheck. You want as many bushels an acre as you can get. I personally would have started a week ago, but between crap weather, it was cold, it was rather cold, it was rainy. I mean, I'm lucky I'm able to go today, at least right now. Since we'll talk about chances of rain this evening, if not very crappy weather. Excuse me. Regardless, I want to get this. In theory, I should be able to get this in unless something blows up in the next 10 minutes. But I'm going to get this up and going. Honestly, I'm going to going to need to take on seed here in a little bit. When I get out to the next farm, I'm going to look at the tanks here before I leave. And if so, I'm going to have to make it. Probably going to stop. I'll probably make another stream, or at least if I do stream again today, I'll have to make a new stream for the next farm. Cell connection is not too terrible out there. I know, unlike on the Johnson farm and the and Grandma's, that is not very good area to live stream. So I'll probably just do a live stream the rest of the day, and then end up recording it tomorrow and getting my shorts, so that way you guys have content to watch over the next month or so until hay season. And I kind of have to poke around with the cell service over there, but maybe out there on the Davis place I might live stream that. I'm honestly not sure right now. I've been trying to find a gimmick that not anybody does. I don't think a lot of people tend to live stream the farm operations. That tends to be more of a what's the term? Compilation of drone shots and stuff. Anyways, I'll try out there. If I start dropping too many frames, I'm going to need you guys, the viewers, to let me know if I'm dropping frames or not. I'm not getting any warnings that the frames are dropping, but at the same time, I'm not exactly watching the stream. And that's probably helping quite a bit because I'm not pulling too much bandwidth. One little divot here. We got quite a bit of that broken up. Lunchtime anyway, so I'll have time to go home and have lunch. And I dropped the vacuum because we don't need vacuum anymore because we're done planting now. That's planted. That again was only like 7.5, 8 acres, so I'll have to look at my ASCS chart. I'm going to go back over here to the entrance, and I'm going to take a census on how full my tubs are. I tried putting only 20 units in here so I don't have so much going down the road, but I have a feeling I put close to 40 in here, or 30. little more seeding than I'd like. But that's just more to start with over on the other farm. That's done. Alright, that is that. I'm gonna shut the stream down. I'm going to pick this back up here probably about an hour. I gotta take this planter out to the next farm, start the farm, and we'll have to seed up. So I'm gonna end up bringing the seed out as well. Take the planter out, take the seed out, and take the I'll have to get myself a pickup to come home with. I'll probably just end up bringing the seed truck home. So. But I'll be back about an hour, hour and a half, hoping to stream it. So hope you come back to join me on the rest of this Sunday. I'll see you guys in a bit, hopefully, if I do decide to stream. But then again, it also depends on the cell service out there. But I think that farm, it's got a couple patchy spots, so there might be a couple spots where I lose frames, but otherwise I think I should be able to do that, at least stream that farm. But the other two farms I'm going to have to end up recording for later date videos and to tie you guys over for a month content wise. Until the next stream here in about an hour or so, hopefully, I'm hoping. I can't honestly guarantee about lying. So until then, I will see you guys in a little bit, if not later. So.